In this lesson, we'll begin adding color to one of our character concepts. Alright, so in the previous lesson, we finished refining the line work for our fifth and final character. Now, we're ready to go ahead and start thinking about color, so I've gone ahead and duplicated our refined line work down here onto a fourth row. And, you know, since we left off with this fifth character here, let's go ahead and zoom in on this one. I'm going to go ahead and show you my process for adding really quick color to a character concept. And, you know, I'm not going to show you the same process on every single character. Because it's the same process, I'll probably let you go ahead and apply color to these characters on your own, or actually I'll include a final file with all the other characters colored if you want to check that out. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and begin adding color to this one character. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and start out here looking in my character 5 folder. I've got here a color layer within the color folder there. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm working on that layer here. And, you know, let's just zoom in nice and tight here. Now, in order to start out, I like to lay down one nice thick color throughout the entire character. And I'm going to go ahead and pick one of the predominant colors. If we look here at our character, we see a lot of hair and we've got a lot of skin. So I'm either going to choose a skin tone or a hair color for this character. And, you know, I mean, it really doesn't matter which. So let's go ahead and just choose the hair color for right now. Thinking about maybe adding sort of an auburn brown or a nice, rich, warm brown color for the character's hair. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that now here. Just pick a nice warm brown. Alright, I think that'll work pretty good. Now, I'm picking fairly middle-valued colors here. So I'm not picking anything too dark, and I'm not picking anything too light. I'm trying to work sort of the middle of the value spectrum here, just to start out with. Now, making sure that we are on this color layer, let's go ahead and just start applying this color. Now, I'm going to go ahead and test it out here to the side, and make sure that it's exactly the color I'm looking for. And, you know, I think we might need a little bit more red in that. We want this to be a warm brown, so I'm going to lean that more towards red than yellow. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and start laying down this color really thick all throughout the character. Now, I'm not really concerned with applying this color too much inside the lines. We can always come back in and clean this up here in just a little bit, but this is going to give us a nice base to work with. So just coming in, quickly applying this color. And we're going to send that color all throughout our character. Now, there's a lot of different styles you can use to color a character, but keeping in mind that these are only character concepts, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time focusing on color. We're not by any means going to work on applying realistic color to our character. We're going to give it sort of a cel-shaded style of color, which, if you're familiar with that style of color, you'll know that it's very simple. It's, again, not focusing on gradients. It's using fairly flat colors for the most part. So, just coming in here, we'll apply this color, and we're getting close. Keeping in mind that this refined line work was actually on its own layer, and that layer in itself was, for the most part, transparent. We don't have a color on that layer, so that's why we're adding in a color. We've got a base color here just for our character, and we can build on top of this. Let's go ahead and finish applying this color here. Just kind of come in here and finish off this hair. Alright, so looking really good. So we're ready to pretty much start taking on our next color. Now, as I'm applying color to our character, I always start with just one base color, like I mentioned, and then I start building flat colors on top of that. So I tell you what, I'll actually clean this color up between lessons, so you don't have to watch me come in with my eraser tool and just clean up the edges of it. But before I actually begin adding a second color to this character, what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and copy this layer. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this, and we're going to hide that. So let me just drag a copy of that up. I held down Alt and dragged up a copy, and we'll just hide that layer and come back to this layer here. And let's go ahead and pick a skin color. I'm going to go ahead and come in here. Let's pick a nice skin color for our character. Now, depending on the type of skin you're trying to choose a color for, it's going to obviously affect the color we select here. Now, ethnicity is another thing that plays a really big role in the color of one's skin. So I'm picking here a fairly warm color, balancing it sort of delicately between this yellow to red range here, somewhere in between here, and we'll come off to the side and just paint that in and see how that looks. And that's looking pretty good for a base skin color. So let's go ahead and undo that, and let's go ahead and begin painting that in here where the skin is. So we'll zoom in nice and tight. and just again start painting this in, really not worrying too much about being too precise with it. We can always come back in and clean this up later. The line work is actually going to hide quite a bit of the areas where maybe the colors aren't matching up quite evenly enough. So we'll just paint this in on top of her face first. Alright, so looking really good here. So really we're building, basically at this point, our character with flat colors. And, you know, flat colors are something that you can do really quickly and without really thinking too much about a light source as of yet. So I would encourage you to just go ahead and begin coloring really any character first with flat colors and build a base from there from which to build the rest of your color on. So we've almost got our skin tones done. Alright, so there we go. We've got all the skin, all the skin's been colored here, and let's go ahead and pick another color. You know, I think next I'm going to go ahead and just add white to her eyes really quickly. We know that those eyes are not going to be flesh colored, so I've gone ahead and hit X and switched to my background color, and we're going to just add white in there. Just like so. Alright, so let's go ahead and choose a color for her dress. Now, keeping in mind that this is sort of a prom dress, we're going to think of something rather flashy, maybe something kind of elegant. And, you know, we've already got the rough design for our dress down, so let's go ahead and pick maybe a nice color that maybe she's wearing for her prom. Maybe it's a nice purple color. So let's come over here and just sort of balance this around, finding a nice purple color for this dress. Thinking about, do we want this to be a warmer purple, leaning more towards red, or a cooler purple, leaning more towards blue? So right now we're leaning it a little bit more towards blue, which I think that's a pretty good color. Let's go ahead and choose that and paint it over here and see how that looks. You know, maybe we could actually go a little bit further towards blue. Alright, I think I like that color. So let's go ahead and come in here and just paint in this purple color. Notice it's not real dark, and you know, it's not contrasting too much value-wise with the other colors that we've chosen here. Now, naturally, the skin tone's probably the lightest color we've chosen in terms of value, but this purple and this brown are really close in value. Alright, so maybe we come in here and just hit our straps. And let's think about maybe another color that we can add for these little poofy things on our sleeves. Let's come in here and maybe even add a lighter color of purple, thinking that, you know, maybe these are a lighter version of the same color. So we'll just come in and paint that in here. So that's a pretty good color, I think. All right, looking really good. Keeping in mind, you know, this is really quick. This is by no means a final concept for the character. This is, you know, just building on the initial idea. We've come a long way from our initial shape, and now we're just looking to finish it off in some way so we can, you know, get a better idea of what this character is like without taking it to the next level. So let's just zoom out here. Maybe we choose eye color next. Maybe she's got a nice blue color for her eyes. So let's come down here and pick that color now. Kind of balancing that a little bit more between this this green and this navy blue here. Leans just a little bit more towards that navy. There we go. All right, so we'll just paint that in. And that's a nice starting place for her eye color. Now, characters that we've been drawing are really simplified, so there's no need to add excessive details at this point when it comes to the color. We've gone with a fairly simple character, and you know, the colors should really complement that. So I'm going to come over here and choose a nice deep red color here for her lips next, thinking, you know, maybe she's got some lipstick on here. Let's go ahead and choose a little different color here. Saturate it up a little bit and give it a little bit darker value. I think that's a good place to start. Alright, so, you know, I may come over here and just sample this light purple, and maybe we actually put that on her eyelids as sort of an eyeshadow here. So let me just paint that in here. Alright, so really at this point, the only thing we lack are the little jewelry elements that she's wearing. Maybe these earrings and this necklace. So let's go ahead and choose a nice warm yellow here, and we'll quickly paint that in. You know, let's go ahead and saturate that just a little bit more here. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Now we've got a spot here for sort of maybe a jewel or some other kind of color we can place in the center of this. And, you know, maybe we could use that same purple for that centerpiece. So let me just sample that here and maybe paint that in here and paint it in up here as well. Alright, so we finished adding flat colors to our character, and really it's at this point time to start thinking about shadows and highlights. So in the next lesson we'll pick up where we're leaving off here, and we'll begin adding shadows and highlights to our character.